Howdy, folks. Here today, giving you a quick update on Walt Whitman's Song of Myself. So, we are going to be reading some poetry to work on word choice and language. And that becomes really, really tricky because when we're reading poetry, a lot of times things just become overwhelming for us. Like sometimes the word choice and the language is so confusing to us initially that we struggle and we kind of lose our purpose. So, returning back to our reading strategies, remember that we are not reading this poem to necessarily figure out exactly what this person is saying. In fact, I'm going to go through this poem with you and kind of explain here's what he's saying here. Well, what our purpose is to look at the word choice and the tone that he's using. So if I give you here's what the meaning is, you can kind of backfill this idea of, oh, okay, so here's what he's getting at, here's how he gets there, right? Through his word choice and through his tone. And especially when we're reading poetry, taking time to define words that we don't understand is going to be critical. Varying our speed of reading, especially slowing down, is going to be critical. And then I really hope that as you're going, you can take some notes and annotate this poem to remind yourself, oh, yes, here's what we're talking about. So as I'm going through this, I'd really recommend that you have your own document up and can annotate as we go. So without further ado, here's just the first stanza from Song of Myself by a famous American transcendental poet, Walt Whitman, one of my favorites. So I'm going to take this stanza by stanza, working through things with you. So I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. Again, you're like, okay, I'm already lost, Mr. Restad. Take my headphones off, go rage quit. No, don't do that. It's difficultly written, but it's also beautifully written. So let's break this down line by line. I celebrate myself and I sing myself. We can kind of figure out what that means. Like, I am happy to be me, right? I'm celebrating myself as a human being, an individual. Hooray. Like, I'm so excited, so celebratory of myself. I'm going to sing about myself, right? My life is good. And then I don't just stop at connecting me. I start to connect to you. What I assume, you shall assume. And what they're talking about here, what Walt Whitman's talking about here, is I don't think assume is like making an assumption. I think assume is something else that we can do. So just to be sure, I'm going to define this word and to take responsibility or to begin to have, like he assumed power. So basically, what I am going to become, you also can become, right? So if I'm happy about myself, you can be happy about yourself too. I'll get my picture out here. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. He is talking about just this connective nature between human beings, right? I'm a human, you're a human, we belong to the same nature, we're one and the same. Like, this is a very connective poem so far. So then we get a stanza break, right? So similar to like a writer shifting paragraphs, when a poet shifts stanzas to different lines, what they're implying is that we're going to take on something new, something different, right? Here's a different group of ideas. And hopefully they'll be connected and we can see that. So then he goes on to say, I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. So I loaf, not like a loaf of bread, but like I loaf around. And again, I might take some time to define what loaf means. Oh, I didn't even find it. Silly Google. I might have to Google that one outside of here. Loaf. Loaf is used in the same expression as loafing around. So it means to idly relax. So I'm relaxing, and I'm also inviting my soul to relax. I'm going to relax and just like simply observe summer grass. Like, I'm going to sit here on a beautiful summer day and just look at nature. And I'm going to let my soul be at ease, right? This is a big old calm yourself down, appreciate yourself, and calm down. Appreciate what's around you. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from the soil, this air, born here of my parents, here, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I'm here, my tongue, my blood, everything about me has been formed from this earth, right? The food we eat comes from this earth. The air we breathe is of this earth. Same way with my parents. My parents came together to make me, and their parents came together to make them, and so on and so on and so on. Like everything has led down to my existence. Like I'm just created here, just like everything else is. And I, now at 37 years old, in perfect health, begin, hoping not to cease till death. So even as this aged old man, like I'm getting up in my 30s too, um, this guy's recognizing that my life, in recognizing all of these things, being happy about myself, inviting myself to relax and appreciate the things that are around me and appreciate the things that have created me, now I am finally truly beginning my life. And I hope to not forget this moment of kind of clarity, connection between myself and other people and natures. I'm not going to stop this until I die. And then lastly, our final paragraph, creeds and schools in abeyance. What? All right, let's look this up. Creeds is a system of Christian or other religious beliefs. Okay, so the things that religion has given to me and the things that schools have given me, educations, are in abeyance. I'm going to have to look that word up. So it's a state of temporary suspension. Okay, so I'm going to take what religion and what education has given to me, and I'm going to pause that, right? I'm not going to say these things are good or bad. I'm just going to pause them but not consider them as I am thinking about myself, right? That's what this poem is about. It's about figuring out who I am. Retiring back, a while sufficed of what they are, but never forgotten. So that's saying, take these things, put them aside, don't forget about them. Like we'll bring them back up. They might be important later, but for right now, they're not my concern. I harbor for good or bad. Wait, isn't a harbor where the ships dock? I might have to look that word up too, because sometimes words have multiple meanings. So obviously, I don't think we're talking about a place on the coast where vessels may find shelter. Really, what we're talking about is this idea to keep. So she started to harbor doubts. So I can reread this first sentence as, I started to figure out for good or bad, right? So I haven't decided what this is yet. And I permit to speak at every hazard. I think this is so far the toughest sentence, right, that we've come across. So this could be good, this could be bad, but I'm going to permit to speak at every hazard. So hazard is like a problem, right? A hazard is something we need to watch out for. So I'm going to allow myself, I permit myself to speak, to address, again, for good or bad, every problem that now comes up. And nature without check, with original energy. Again, this is a tough one, right? I have to really, really slow down and now think in the context of everything else that's come before here. Like I felt like we did a pretty good job in these couple of sentences, even up to here, to now figure out what is this final line of the poem meaning. That nature without check, with original energy. So we're going to use some of our tools here. We're going to use some of our grammar tools. So I'm seeing this as a non-essential phrase, right? That's why it's separated with commas. Commas have meaning. I'm going to separate this and I'm going to delete this. And now read the sentence this way. I harbor for good or bad nature without check, with original energy. So I think what he's saying is I'm going to take a look at nature, right? This is what he was doing. The nature of a blade of summer grass. The nature of myself, like where I came from, who I am, what am I made of. I'm going to try to take a look at my original state of being, right? Me without all of these problems of religion or school or education or society. And I'm just going to look at my essential nature to see if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I just want to look at that original energy. He describes it as energy, but maybe original spirit of like who I am and where I came from. So this poem is a big, just a big talk about metacognition. I'm going to think about my own thinking. I'm going to think about my own origin as a human being. And there we go. So it takes a little bit of time to explicate it. But truly, what I think Walt Whitman is saying is, I'm impressed with myself. I'm going to give myself that ability to believe in myself and relax and understand where I came from and think about where I came from and the origins of myself, which I think is a good thing for all of us to do from time to time. Okay, now your task, having read that, is to take a look specifically at the questions I have posted above, and try to answer, okay, if that's his main idea, how does he help get us there with his specific word choice, some of his decisions in tone? So good luck with that. Cheers, folks.